What's up, y'all? It's Tuesday night. You know what it is. It's time for Flyers Talk A to D with your boy Dales, with your boy Pove. I'm really getting this pointing thing down, I tell you that. Got some fun stuff to talk about tonight. NHL schedule has been released roughly about when Maddie said so last week. Also going to talk about some prospect news going on throughout. Obviously we heard Porter Martone. There's a little bit more going on now too with the Flyers prospects. So maybe Danny did a little bit more homework than we think on the prospects in the draft. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. It's time to talk some puck. Let's go start the conversation. What's going on, everybody? As always, it is Tuesday night Flyers Talk A2D with your boys, Dales, and we got Pove. No Maddie for the next 2 weeks. Work's been calling. Got to pay the bill somehow, right?
Yeah,
well,
man.
we got a lot going on tonight. Got a lot to talk about. Like I said, we're going to talk about the NHL schedule, Flyer schedule, how it's going to break down. Please let us know in the chat. What are some of the games you're looking forward to? Any road trips that you're like, yeah, I can't wait to stay up late and watch this road trip, anything like that. We're also talking a little bit more about Porter Martone as he's committed to Michigan State University. He's also been put in some other news that we'll talk about later, along with 3 other Flyers prospects involving the World Juniors. So we'll definitely talk about that. But as always, we are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Head on over to specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Go give Dr. Paul Vidal a shout. He is our doctor. Make him yours. They got 2 locations, one in Cherry Hill and one in Burlington, both in New Jersey. So head over specializedphysicaltherapy.com and go pay them a visit if you have any aches, pains, or lingering injury issues. So definitely do that. I've been there. Those guys are awesome over there. And the ladies as well are pretty awesome. So definitely check them out. Robbie, how we doing, buddy?
Yo, I tell you what, if my doctor's appointment this Friday isn't working out, I'm going to be hitting up the doc as well, going to the ortho myself, checking out the shoulder, see, hopefully I don't got a torn rotator cuff. But if I can need physical therapy, I'm going to Specialized Physical Therapy for sure. You could bet the farm on that. It's going good, man. I mean, it's trying to keep a stiff upper lip. Seems like, a fan favorite's dropping every day. First, it was Malcolm Jamal Warner. God rest his soul tragically in Costa Rica. Yeah. And today, the news of Ozzy Osbourne's passing 2 weeks after he just did his farewell concert with Black Sabbath, raising $200 million for charity. What a way to go out. Influenced so many bands like Stone Temple Pilots, like I'm wearing tonight, Guns N' Roses, Metallica for certain, Rest in Darkness. I don't know if that's right to say, but, I said it.
I don't know if it's right. I mean, he was the Prince of Darkness, so you would think, right? It would probably be okay.
Right.
Yeah. But poll tonight, as we always have, the face-off is going to be January 6th against the Anaheim Ducks. Will be circled on your calendars. Agree to disagree. As always, drop your comments in the chat. Let us know what you guys are thinking for sure. I don't know about you, but I'm going to just jump on this real quick. I'm going to keep it short and simple. Obviously, for me, being a Ducks fan, every time that these 2 teams meet, they are circled on the schedule for me. I mean, especially now more so after last year, seeing the atmosphere in the Wells Fargo or now the Xfinity Mobile Center. This is a game that definitely has to be circled. I mean, obviously, we know that the hatred for Cutter Gauthier is always going to be high. At least until I feel like he comes public about why he left the Flyers or wanted to leave the Flyers, ignored the entire organization and asked to be traded. Until we know that, I think he's going to have that hatred. And even after that, I think he still will, just because, like I said, the atmosphere last year, they were loud. Every time he touched the puck, they were booing him. Every time he touched the ice, they were booing him. Every time he left the ice, they were cheering. It was beyond. It's something I've never really seen before. So, obviously, I'm gonna agree to the poll. I think it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun atmosphere once again. I think it's going to be kind of similar to that Scott Rowland effect when he left the Phillies and came back for the first time as a Cardinal. So those games were just electric and they were fun. And I think it's going to make a fun rivalry between these two teams, especially with Drysdale and Zegras on the opposing side of this rivalry. Now, what are you thinking, Robbie?
Yeah, it might even throw a little more fuel on the fire. Let's say we wrestle Mason McTavish off you, then it'll be really heated on January 6th.
Get out.
Huh? Ducks fan?
Get out of
here. Yeah. No, but I mean, it's definitely one you got to target. I think you have to. You said it. Cutter Gauthier hated in Philly. Trevor Zegras, first game versus Old Club. Jamie Drysdale still with something to prove. The headlines write themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And they definitely, especially in a situation like this where you have a guy who, like I was saying a couple minutes ago, he's got really no public reason on why he wanted to leave. He gets drafted since I was built to be a Flyer, ignores the entire organization trying to reach out and figure out what is going on. And people wonder why the fan base is upset with him. I don't wonder why. I think it's actually very well understood. But he also needs to mature as a player and a person. He's only 19. He's 20. I'm sorry. I think he's 20 this year. So there's definitely still some maturation that needs to happen there. But I mean, for the most part, I really think that, I think every Flyers fan is going to have this game scheduled. I mean, there's definitely other ones. You have your Penguins, you have your Rangers, you have your Devils. You're also going to have some teams out west that, maybe if things happen, maybe Minnesota winds up on that list if they manage to sneak away a Marco Rossi or something along those lines. It's like you brought up Mason McTavish. I'm bringing up Marco Rossi because it's more favorable for me. All the Ducks young stars. You can have two of them. I'll give you two. But definitely game you have to be circled. Obviously in the chat, drop it in there. Let us know what you're thinking. We definitely want to know what games you're looking forward to. Even if it's not necessarily even the Flyers, let us know. Like Priz, I see you in the chat. Let us know what games you're looking forward to for the Blackhawks and the Stars. Let's just keep the conversation rolling here. So Robbie, outside of the Ducks, obviously on January 6th, are there any other games before we really start breaking down this roster that you are looking forward to?
You hit the nail on the head with Game 5 in Minnesota, and if Rossi is in orange and black, that could be really interesting. Instead of games that I'm looking forward to, how about games that I'm not looking forward to because the Flyers got fucked in their opening schedule. Okay. It's a bit of a gauntlet. They start off with the Stanley Cup champs in Florida Panthers, then Game 2, Carolina Hurricanes, a half step down, and then Game 3, right back playing Florida again at home. Winnipeg, Minnesota, and Seattle rounds out that gauntlet to open up. I mean, 7 out of the 10 total games in the opening month are at home. So if you're going to face some of these good teams, at least you have the support and last change favor home ice there. But outside of that, really, it's a lot of people are out there predicting that this team is going to continue to be on the outside looking in the playoffs. And the schedule makers did us no favors here. But if you could rattle off and have a decent October, especially with the support of your home building, Brian, right, that could be, a launching pad to where a young team can really gain some mojo.
No, absolutely. And you speak a lot of fact there because this actually could be a situation where, it's absolutely tough opening schedule for the Flyers. This could be a situation where the Flyers really just can put their foot on the gas and really set the tone for what the season is going to be. I think they are a wild card team. I think they do wind up staying on the outside looking in. I think they are a much improved team this year. But like you said, you're looking at Florida, at Carolina, back home for Florida, Winnipeg, Minnesota, Seattle, who just re-signed Capo Caco this afternoon. This is not an easy way to start. Then you have Ottawa, Islanders, Penguins, and Predators to kind of round it out. So the second half of the month of October does kind of ease up. So if people really think this team is going to be a playoff team, they have to get off to a hot start. And I think, oddly enough, the defending champs, Flyers do tend to play the Panthers really well. So you're basically getting them out of the way early. And then you have Carolina. Carolina's a tough team that, again, the Flyers tend to play well. So, as rough as it is, and it's definitely a rough start, maybe it's a little bit more favorable than we think.
Hey, like I said, having 7 out of 10 at home could work out in your favor if you are facing these teams. And also, here's another flip side point, Brian. Yeah, challenging teams, but you're facing them right off the bat. And you're getting 2 games out of Florida out of the first 3 of the season, where they might be a little bit punch drunk from playing so much hockey into the Cup Finals. So anything you could turn from a negative to a positive, but it's definitely going to be a test. There's no doubt about that. It's going to be a test. As Anaheim will be too, as they get better in their rebuild process. So I mean, in terms of games that I'm looking forward to answer your question, Anaheim was definitely one of them. That's why I almost laughed when you sent the poll over. I think I did send you that. I was intrigued that this is going to be a fan favorite for tonight's face-off poll. But it's always good that, okay, unlike last year where you faced them in Anaheim first, right? We get them in our building first, right? So it'll be interesting. And certainly when they play them later on, I believe in March 18th, they'll play at Anaheim. That'll be very meaningful for Trevor Zegras as well. His first game back in the bin, so out there in the barn in Anaheim. So, the definitely 2 games to look forward to as they build a little East-West rivalry. Looking into November, though, this is where, you play teams like Toronto. You go on a little bit of the Toronto and Calgary are at home, but then you go at Montreal, at Nashville, Ottawa, Edmonton at home, both of them at home, at St. Louis, at Dallas versus St. Louis. And then you get towards Thanksgiving, right? Saturday, 22nd, New Jersey Devils. Then you're at Tampa, at Florida, do a little Florida run, and then finish the month back up north, but on the road at Islanders. That's going to be the Black Friday game, I believe, but not at Wells Fargo, which is interesting. What is it? What is it called now?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it's called. I think it is the Black Friday game.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a Black Friday game, but the new stadium sponsor name is
for the Flyers, T-Mobile Arena or T-Mobile Center.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Corporate and then corporation.
And then they got the Devils to round out the month on my birthday at the Rock. I might have to go to that game in face paint.
That'd
Old
be
school
awesome.
style. Yeah.
But, for Seinfeld aspects, you got to make sure you at least get enough guys to spell out Devils for you. What? You said not to pay my face. This is clearly not my face.
Well done.
Well done, God,
sir.
I love that show. That's probably one of my favorite shows. But yeah, I mean, if we're going to look into November, things do kind of ease up, but they don't at the same time. Like you were saying, Montreal is a tougher team these days. Nashville's a big question mark. Edmonton is Edmonton. They're always going to be tough as long as they have Draisaitl, McDavid. I mean, it's interesting that you have your home and home with St. Louis. I mean, you have a stop in Dallas in between, but which is a back-to-back game. That's kind of one of the things that I'm curious about, that I'm kind of trying to look for, is how many back-to-back games that they're going to have this year. Not one in October. I see one in November. I see one in December, 2 in December, but that 2 in December is leading into the Christmas break. 3 in December. So December is going to be a rough month for the Flyers, as they're facing, it looks like Vegas and Calgary at home. I'm sorry, it's Calgary and Carolina in a home and home. We got Vancouver at home, out to Chicago on a back-to-back. That'll be a little tough, but again, that's going into the Christmas break. So we'll see how that one turns out. And then going into New Year's, you have at Vancouver, at Calgary, and then you're off for 2 days going into January, starting 2026 at Edmonton, getting ready to come back home and play Anaheim on the 6th. So that's kind of that December is going to be the real test month from what I'm saying.
Yes.
January has two back-to-backs in January. They're playing 3 out of 4 at the end of January. So 28th, 29th, you're at Columbus, at Boston, and then you're coming home on the 31st to play the Kings. So January could be a tough stretch as well. February, they're going to catch a massive break. You got the Olympic break coming out this year.
Yep.
So from the 5th to the 25th, there's going to be no NHL action. It'll all be Olympic, which I believe the NHL players are in.
Yes.
So you'll catch a break there, but you're also coming right into another 3 out of 4 to end the month of February. So they are grouping a lot of these games together for the Flyers, which is to be expected. I mean, every team has to go through this. So at least it seems like a lot of it's going to be within towards the ends of the month. So
right. And I believe I read, like, we'll total it up as we go through the schedule, but immediately what I looked for was where the Flyers sat on the back-to-backs. And I believe they sat middle of the pack in terms of the league. And I think it was either 12 or 13 back-to-back situations. But like I said, that's going purely by memory. I that's one thing that we were chatting on X about is, you know, the back-to-backs versus road and home back-to-backs as well. In a way. What's up, Heather? Thanks for joining us as always. So I think where they stand middle of the pack is a fair, allotment of the schedule, but I believe they have more road back-to-backs than homes. Like I said, we'll see.
Yeah, which, I mean, with a lot of these teams, like if you're looking Vancouver to Calgary, not exactly a far flight. Sure. Boston, Columbus to Boston, not exactly a long flight. Washington to the Rangers is, I think, like a 4-hour bus ride. So the travel time isn't as bad for the back-to-backs as I feel like it has been in the past. But, I mean, you still got to look at it this way. Yeah, it's going to be tough no matter what. This is the NHL. Every schedule is going to be tough. So it's just how they kind of group everything together for the Flyers this year. And, I mean, it's not exactly favorable or unfavorable. I feel like it's kind of par. I mean, March looks like it's going to be now that I'm actually looking through it, it's going to be the roughest month as far as grouping all these games together, because they're essentially it just feels like it's going to essentially be every other day from March 5th to the end of the month. So we'll kick off March 2nd at Toronto, back home on the 5th to face Utah, out to Pittsburgh on the 7th, back to face the Rangers, Washington, out to Minnesota on March 12th. So that Washington to Minnesota will be a back-to-back with Columbus on the 14th. So you'll have 3 out of 4 there, and then they're going back out to the West Coast, which I think is the final portion of their West Coast trip, against Anaheim, LA, and San Jose from the 18th to the 21st. So again, it just seems like it's going to be a lot of big groupings. There's a lot of 3 games in 4 nights, which I feel like, I don't know, maybe we've seen this in the past, Robbie, where because of the Olympic break, they got to group these games a little bit closer together. That way they can get all 82 in.
That's a good point.
Benny's saying, "What's up, boys?" Let's actually get to some of these comments here real quick before we wrap up the schedule. I saw Priz's a couple comments up here real quick. Let me scroll back up. So Hawks, he says, it's the same roster, just play tighter, more consistently. We should have goalie, center, and defense set. If everyone pans out, we need wingers. Goes on to also say Stars. It's the big perennial contenders. How much further did Vegas move ahead of the pack? Does Edmonton still own them? Are they still better than the Avs? brings up a great question. Where is everybody tonight?
All right, I was right. There are 13 back-to-backs.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them where both games are at home for the Flyers. 6 of them are where both games are on the road, and the rest. So that's 2, 6, that's 8. So the other 5 are home and away. A lot of those being home and homes on back-to-back days. So I would go check out the big brain on Rob Hovia there. Nailed it verbatim. No notes for a change. 13 back-to-backs, 6 on the road, 2 at home, 5 home and aways. Man, that's quick math.
Man, that's why we keep you around. Somebody's got to do the math around here. It ain't me. I'm terrible at math. Heather says she has every game circled.
Nice. Every game is important now, right? As they start the new era with Rick Tocchet, which, we're getting all kinds of glowing reviews. Noah Cates is falling in love with Rick Tocchet before our very eyes right now already, and they haven't even entered training camp yet.
Yep. Mitch Cobb, which we'll get into a little bit later on, had some fun comments to say over the last couple of days, so we'll get into that one a little bit later. Priz goes on to say, so compared to this year's roster versus last year's and the coach staff changes, do you expect this team to be a seller if they aren't in a playoff spot? And besides Risto, who else would be a trade option?
Well, I mean, besides on the defense, Nick Seeler certainly would be a trade option. If you start getting into the Flyers forwards, that's where it can get really interesting, right? Where, maybe you move character guys like a Garnet Hathaway. And not that you're looking to do that, right? You're looking to just continue to build. Hopefully you are in a spot where you can at least, that's what I'm hoping for, that the Flyers are neither buyers nor sellers, to where they could just continue building the chemistry, working with this group, right? And having the cream of the crop rise to the top. But if you need to shed, you're going to shed veterans, guys that you're not going to shed. You're not going to shed Sean Couturier because you're not going to be able to get rid of that contract, right? You're not going to shed TK. That's one of your core vets on this team. Also committed a lot of money to, right? Noah Cates, albeit signed, he does have a movable contract, but that's a guy that you want to see continue to stay here and build. Once Tyson Forster's back on the ice and Bobby Brink, I really like the chemistry of that line. So, Chris, hopefully we don't have to deal any guys, but you could also trade some of your lower ranked prospect assets like a Carson Dorwit. You know what I mean? Some of your depth guys that you've built, right? You pick up a Christian Dvorak. That's a guy that you can immediately move because he signed to a 1-year deal, Brian.
Yep. Spot on. 1 year, 5.125, I believe.
Yes.
So the man, the myth, the legend's in the house. What up, Tommy? I hope everything went well in that tournament down in Georgia or North Carolina. I hope that tournament went well, brother. I hope you brought home the trophy.
Yes, sir.
And kind of, I'm with you 100% on Priz's comment. I wouldn't use the term seller. I would say they're going to do more of what they've done the last couple of seasons and be conservative sellers. Make the moves that makes the most sense for the organization at that time. But I mean, I agree. I think Risso's number 1. I think Sealer's number 2, and I think Dvorak's going to be your third guy on the trade block. That'll be your top 3 guys to move. With you 100%. I saw Benny in the house. Benny, what's up? Mike's in the house, and Kings need to get rid of the Edmonton playoff curse. I mean, as a Ducks fan, I'm good. They can continue to do what they're doing.
We talked about last show, Mike. If you missed it, the potentiality of once Connor McDavid is up for free agency, does he move south to LA following the Great One? And that would be a way to reverse the curse, right? Just like Babe Ruth going from the Red Sox to the Yankees.
That would definitely be a way to do it. And it'd be on just as large of a scale because he's such a generational player, just like Babe Ruth was. So, I think that's a pretty good comparison there.
Thank you.
I gotta say. So it's funny that he brought it up. I just thinking about it. Not necessarily something that I think the Flyers should do, but apparently Alex Laferriere from LA still hasn't signed his contract. If he did, I missed it. Prez, there you go. You need a winger. Offer sheet Laferriere. Go get a young, talented mid-6 winger. Put him with why am I blanking on his name now? The kid that got drafted 3rd overall.
Oh, Byfield?
No.
Sorry.
I'm blanking on his name. Why am I blanking on his name? I've said it all year long, and now I'm actually going to put it to use. Pete said little 2-man action tonight. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. First of all, what's up, Pete? Hope you're doing well, brother. Frundell. Yes. Anton Frundell. Yeah.
Yes. I'm still focused on the Kings. That's why my wheels were spurting. Yeah.
That's my fault.
Frundell, baby.
Yeah, Frundell. Put a Ferrier with Frundell. Absolutely. I would do that in a heartbeat. That would be amazing. You could even put him up there with Bedard, and Bedard will probably make a superstar out of him. But to get back towards the schedule here, we're close to pretty much being through it. So, all right. So up to March at this point, right, Robbie? So at this point, what? So barring that the roster stays exactly the same, right? No moves are made. So we're at March. At this point, before we go into April 2nd versus the Red Wings, do you think, as an unofficial prediction, I know you're not the biggest fan of this, let's not call it a prediction. Let's call it your expectations for this team. Is this team mathematically out of the playoff race?
I don't think they are, because of two things that they have going for them, right? Young teams are going to get gassed, and they're going to get gassed in February. And what do we have? You mentioned it before in February, the Olympic break. That's 20 days off right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you also benefit by, on the normal Christmas, New Year's Eve road trip, you have Chicago, Seattle, Vancouver, and Calgary. It's a little bit of a and then at Edmonton on the 3rd, before you're home on the 6th for that Anaheim game, right? So if they could split that, and then as we go fast forward to March, you have a lot of teams you're playing within the conference, within the Metropolitan Division, but then you go back out for that SoCal road trip between March 18th to the 21st. Anaheim, at Los Angeles, obviously. Why am I saying that? And San Jose. If they could come with 2 out of 3 from that, I think they have a really good shot to make the playoffs. And if you're looking at those teams, these are teams that, Vancouver's going to be recovering, working with the new head coach. Right. Calgary is in a state of flux. Seattle is expected to be better after today's signing, but still beatable team. Right. And then Anaheim and San Jose, both, rebuilding teams along with us, along with the Kings. And then as you move into late March into April, going back within the division, there's a lot to say that this team will have their own destiny in their hands. And like I said, we're here on July 22nd, 2025, to make predictions where this roster will be health-wise. How successful is Rick Tocchet in his transition to coaching the team that he once bled for? If everything goes right, I don't see why not.
I love it because that's where my expectations are. I do see this team being a much better team than they were last year. I do. Like to have that expectation after the moves that were made this offseason, with the expectations of, just how they hit. I don't want to necessarily say hit. I shouldn't say hit because we don't know. the expectations of some of these players in the draft. Obviously we have high expectations for Porter Martone. We have high expectations for some of the guys who could be coming up through the minors this year. There are definitely going to be some question marks. There's going to be some rough patches probably all season long, which there should be with every team. They should be a playoff team at this point, or not mathematically eliminated yet. Because the one thing also is Washington's getting older. I didn't really see any crazy moves that made them younger, but they do have some really good young talent getting ready to come up in a Ryan Leonard, Andrew Cristall. There's a couple guys off the top of my head. Minnesota's getting older. Columbus is a really weird team in an awkward position right now because their roster is really not that great, but they're playing really good hockey. And I think they got a little bit better this offseason. LA, who knows? They're a massive question mark. San Jose is going to be at the bottom of the barrel. Chicago is at the bottom of the barrel. Detroit is a massive wild card. And then Pittsburgh, like you were bringing up coaches, Pittsburgh's got a brand new coach this year too. So we don't know. Like the other major factor is how are the Rangers going to be this year? They have Mike Sullivan behind the bench, but it's not going to automatically make them a little bit better. But I mean, not a knock at Mike Sullivan whatsoever. But who's to say he doesn't make the Rangers worse? So. Mm-hmm. A lot of question marks going into the season, and obviously, a lot of that is just thoughts just going through my brain just to kind of come up with some X factors. But heading into April here, before we jump into the second half of the show, I'm with you. I don't think they're mathematically eliminated yet. I do think probably we'll have our answer by the third game against the Red Wings. So April 2nd, you got Detroit. April 3rd, and the Islanders. So you're kicking off April with the back-to-back home and road to come back home to play Boston on the 5th. So that's another 3 games in 4 nights. So it's going to be a hectic, like I said, This is going to be a hectic schedule with a massive break in February.
Really hard beginning and hard end too. Mm-hmm. And don't forget the back-to-back to end the season, both at home though, versus Carolina and versus a much better Montreal Canadiens team that should be taking the next step this year. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Mm-hmm. And then in between all that, I mean, fortunately, I believe they get the majority of the games at home in April, so they can definitely feed off the crowd there.
Sure.
You got one game at the Rock, which could potentially be filled with Flyers fans. You have a game in Detroit, and you have a game in Winnipeg. The only thing that I could see kind of being bad about that is the trip back from Winnipeg to Carolina or back to Philly to play Carolina. I think that could be the only thing that really hinders them in this month. I think, yeah, it's definitely a sandwich. You have a tough start, and you definitely have a tough finish. It's a lot of games in between. It's a lot of 3 games in 4 nights. But I think this is a favorable schedule for the Flyers to kind of start showing who they are and what they could be. Just looking at just how they have this schedule kind of panned out, there's a lot of favorable matchups, you know, and like I said earlier in the show, this is the NHL. No schedule is easy. I don't care what team you are. The Florida Panthers aren't going to have an easy schedule. It's going to be the same exact thing as the Flyers. But it's going to be how do they adjust? How quickly do they adjust to a Rick Tocchet scheme? How do they adjust to the new assistant coaches? Do they buy into the system? Does Trevor Zegras wind up being the player that they think he can be? There's still a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet, and we're not going to get the answers anytime soon, which is fine because training camp doesn't start until beginning of September, I believe. So there's still time. But I mean, like I said, drop in the chats. I see a lot of interesting conversation going on in there, but fortunately, none of it seems to be hockey relevant as always.
Priz was pre-gaming since about 3:30 Eastern.
I believe it. But I mean, that's the schedule. I do think that they will definitely improve. I think they are going to be a bubble team that does spend one more year on the outside looking in. But ultimately, with the Olympic break, it's going to be a gauntlet for all 32 teams. 33?
Yeah.
32. 33.
32.
32. Okay. I'm not done. At least not yet.
Well, unless the Atlanta team comes back.
Oh, God. Please not this again. No, I don't want them back. I did see something on IG the other day that was along the lines of you can pick 3 cities to build an expansion, which apparently the price tag on is going to be $2 billion. I saw that as well. I think the cities were Quebec City, Houston, Atlanta. Oh, crap. I'm blanking on them all. I think these were like the top 3. I'm with you, John. No Atlanta, please. I think the only thing that could save it is if they don't actually build it in Atlanta. There's apparently there was a county outside of Atlanta that they were gonna use to build the stadium. So I can't remember what it was. My brain's shot for today. So
did you mention Hamilton?
Hamilton, yes, Hamilton was one of them. Hamilton was one of them. That would be a good spot. I still think Quebec City has to be the one, and I'm with John 100%. It's got to be Quebec City needs another team. They got to get more teams in Canada. Yeah, Priz says
Bring back the whale, Hartford. Let's go.
Oh man, it's not Quebec.
Yeah, there we go.
Bring back the Hartford Whalers. Yeah. Okay, I'm not against it. But anywhere but Atlanta. They had 2 opportunities. They shouldn't get a third. But all right. So jumping into the second half of the show, we were talking about the schedule first half. We're going to talk about some prospects and some prospect news that's been going on. Obviously, the elephant in the room and the big news was Gavin McKenna signing to PSU about 2 weeks ago. Now, who we thought was going to go with him to PSU in Porter Martone commits to Michigan State University. What are your thoughts on this one, Robbie?
Makes a lot of sense. Because Michigan State lost out on McKenna, they also lost out on their Hobie Baker Award winner who signed with Edmonton Oilers. They really needed to pull in a prospect for their program, so they were heavily recruiting Porter Martone. They had the deal money, even though they didn't offer enough to McKenna to sway him from going to Penn State. It would have been nice for him to stay in state, close to Philadelphia, and play with those young pups. But I mean, in the end, I think him going to Michigan State allows him to forge a new path. He also gets to play with the 6th overall pick by the Columbus Blue Jackets last year. I'm blanking on his name now. Now I got it now. I wrote it the other day here. Caden Lindstrom for the Columbus Blue Jackets.
You beat me.
So I mean, on top of having more of an opportunity to be a prominent figure, taking that next step from the OHL, not staying dormant because he can't qualify for the AHL this season. He will next season, no matter what, because even if the rule wasn't changing, he would have turned 20 by December 31st of next year. So he would have been able to play in the AHL level. So then he can make his pro shot as soon as next season. Maybe he wants to play for a couple years, really build his game, get himself a degree, set himself up for life, and then get ready to go play some hockey. I think it's a good situation. And let's not also forget that coming out of the Michigan State university program is Van Saggy, Shane Van Saggy. So there's going to be more of a connection there now, right? Talking about alumni, he's going to be around the program too as both him and Jack Murtaugh are headed towards the World Junior Summer Showcase this year, which we'll talk about a little bit more in depth later in the show. But I think this is a good fit. Other than going to Penn State and staying local, I think it's going to be even better for his development and really highlight how this team took a chance, not going with Higgins. But, man, this is setting up the early chapters for a long, storied career for Martone.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? You said something that I think was pretty awesome. You can't stay stagnant, right? So going back to the OHL, it's not really going to do much good for him. So you go to a team or you go to a program that's pretty significant with Michigan State. They do have a very good program there. You're going there with a fellow prospect that you got drafted with. So you're going to create some chemistry already there if you wind up being on the same line. Here's the thing that I like about this. And this is not necessarily a big if, but this isn't a significant sized if. If he decides at the end of the collegiate season that he's ready for the NHL, he can sign and he can play right away.
Right. We talked about that last week, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's a massive plus to Porter Martone going to college instead of going to juniors. Going to juniors, he's probably won't see him this year. What's up, Willie? So that to me is a massive plus. So you may not see him right away, but who's to say we don't see him next year regardless? So, I mean, once he signs his ELC, I think his collegiate days are done. But I think once he signs his ELC and he gets his taste of the NHL, he's probably not going to wind up going back anyway. But, I mean, he can still do, like, stuff in the offseason and like, do classes and whatever and still get that degree.
Right.
But,
exactly.
I mean,
you're in there now. You got the foot in the door. Yep.
But it's definitely beneficial developmental-wise, confidence-wise, because you're playing against a lot of NHL prospects. There's a lot of NHL prospects throughout the NCAA ice hockey programs. Plus, I think you're gonna get better competition playing teams like a Penn State. Believe it or not, Arizona State has a really good program. Boston College, Boston U, University of Denver, North Dakota. There's University of Minnesota, University of Minnesota Duluth. Like there's a ton of really good programs that he's going to wind up playing against. That's going to allow him to really take that next step that he needs to, that he probably won't get playing in the OHL. That was one of the biggest concerns of people with Jetlachenko going back to the O last year. So to me, I think this is a better situation. You can come with a quicker solution, and who knows? Maybe in March we see him sign his ELC and he winds up in a Flyers uniform for the remainder of the year. Depending on where they are in the standings, it's not going to hurt him at all. I don't think. But also on top of that, we have some other news. I flubbed here. I forgot to pull up the link that you sent me last night. So there's actually 4. Yep. I said it. 4 Flyers prospects that are going to be in the World Junior Summer Showcase this summer for Team USA and Team Canada. One where obviously we just talked about in Porter Martone. The second one is actually Jetlachenko. Both guys representing Team Canada. And
right.
For Team USA in this summer showcase is going to be Jack Murtag and Shane Van Gazi. Is that how you say it?
I said Vansagi.
Vansagi.
Yeah, but
yep.
Okay. I think that's right.
I hope so. That's how I'm going to say it until I hear otherwise. These guys are all going to be playing in and representing their countries in this summer showcase for the IIHF World Junior Championships. So I think this is setting up a stage to really show what Danny Briere drafted, what these prospects are. Murtag was one of the guys that was really commended as a pick. So was Vansagi. Vansagi was actually a lot of people were saying that the Flyers had already hit on him, that he may be ready sooner than some of the other prospects that they may have taken higher. And then obviously you have Jetlachenko and Porter Martone. Obviously, these are two guys that Jet could wind up in the Flyers uniform straight out of camp. Porter could wind up in the Flyers uniform after college. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Jack Murtagh and Shane Van Zaghi. Where do you think these guys fall as far as like the prospect pool goes? And do you really think that if they perform well in this summer showcase, you think that helps their projection as far as development goes? Or do you think more this is just kind of just a summer fun thing and we're really going to see them develop as the junior season goes along?
I think it's definitely another big hit for the resume. They get to show what they're capable of and really show what the whole Flyers draft cast is capable of. As you said, before with the 4 participants during the summer, it is more of, summer showcase, right? It's kind of like, how seriously do you take it if you perform well in a home run derby, right? And I'm not saying it's like that elective, and it is competitive, but it's an opportunity, just like in the minor leagues for baseball, to showcase your skills and to show that, hey, look, I can be more than just a big body out there. I got a set of hands. I can bring a few tools to the tool shed here, and an opportunity to really increase their stock within the Flyers' eyes as well as the whole world's eyes. So I think it's an incredible achievement. I think you take a look at 2 of the guys here where they were picked round 2, 8 picks apart, in Martone and Van Zaghi, and they have an ability now to learn a little bit more about each other, how each other plays. They could be paired up on the same line potentially. Both Martone out of Boston University and, as we said before, Van Zaghi out of Michigan State. But in the end, when you look at both of these players, right, these are guys that have performed on this stage before, right? Martone in the USA under-18 team at the World Juniors, he recorded 6 points, 2 goals, 4 assists. It's a +4 during that. So again, it's just both of these guys being on Team USA have been there, done that, and they continue to show why they're one of the sought-after prospects in this game. Van Zaghi, he was a +10 with 2 power play goals, 2 game-winning goals, and 30 penalty minutes. I like that, a little snarl to his game. So as these guys compete, this is just the next step, right? As they get into their later teens, early 20s, as they make that approach, right? That this is an example where they can really make a mark on the hockey community.
No, for sure. And to me, I don't know if I would range the summer showcase to the winter World Junior Championship as far as just like competition and drive and just these guys giving everything they got. I mean, these guys are going to be wearing their nation's colors, so there's going to be pride there. I mean, we saw in 4 Nations,
right?
Just a veracity that can come with wearing your nation's colors.
Nice word.
Yeah. Hey, listen, every once in a while, brother, I got you. A
little more than that.
I mean, I'm just saying. You know me, I just don't give myself enough credit, and I never will. But I think that this is just going to be a fun little showcase for them, and it's definitely going to help kind of showcase where these guys are as far as development goes. I think when they get their call for the World Junior Championships in December, I think we're really going to see these guys take the next step. But I definitely think this is going to be a nice starting point for them to get the season going, get their legs going back under them. I mean, Dev Camp only does so much, and I definitely think it's going to be fun to watch these guys go. But again, it's just kind of like how many teams are going to be. I don't really know much about this to showcase. I don't know how many teams are included, how many games are going to be, how long the showcase is going to last. So there's definitely it's definitely good to be able to get a positive look at these guys and kind of just see where they are.
Yeah,
Just
that's
as
what
a
it
starting
is.
point.
That's what it is, really, Brian. It's nothing compared to. I mean, I don't want to say it's nothing, but it. I almost put development camp ahead of this summer showcase, but only the elite of the elite prospects get invited here. So it's really like a scenario where it's a badge of honor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's an opportunity to raise stock, right? These guys slipped to the second round. You could say slipped. That's not where they were projected. They went about where they were projected to go, but they had hopes for the first round, and they can really point the finger at 31 other teams here and be like, "You shouldn't have passed on me."
Yeah. It's definitely an opportunity for them to do that. And real quick, before we get to conversation, moving a little bit further here, as we got about 10 minutes left here in the show. SJM popping in. What's up, SJM, my boy? Say what up, fam. Last minute check-in. As usual, work has been insanely kinetic.
Chaotic, I think, was probably going for.
Pove and Brad looking good, fellas. Appreciate you, brother. We got to schedule a meetup or something soon. And to that, Heather, of course. Funny thing about this comment, we used to do them. Back when we first started, we were doing shows I was out of the basement and I think into Burlington. When we had our little studio in Burlington, we were doing meetup sessions. We would go to like any of the sponsors, like for anybody familiar with the Runnymede area, we go to the Philly Sports Bar. We would do we did a couple live events there. We did a couple live events at a pizza shop in Burlington that was a sponsor for us back when we first started. We did a few of them in a couple different places. They were fun, but I feel like only we showed up. I feel like. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
There was a few that came out. I remember at that fancy sports bar that was over in Morris, like kind of near where Maddie lives. There was a huge turnout that night. I forget the name of it. It's been so long now. Now I don't leave the house now, so good luck getting me out. When I leave the house, it's usually like to some remote spot so I can continue being, with Julia. That's about it.
Yeah. I feel like the only time I leave the house probably about 3 times a week. Well, not 3 times a week. 3 times for 3 different things.
Yeah.
Typically, gym, work, or have a hockey game. So one of those 3 reasons usually get me out of the house. Hockey will hopefully be getting me out of the house more starting in the next couple months. So unfortunately, I have to air out my bag still. I haven't done that from Sunday. Got the playoffs coming up, though. So we should be in there. John saying another awesome show. Appreciate you, John, as always. A quick update. I'm in physical therapy rehab until August 1st, then home. This 3.5 months is nothing I wish upon anybody. Listen, it sounds like you're on the up and up, John. It sounds like you're on the positive swing. That's the thing to focus on. And we're pulling for you, brother, for sure. Just take your time, get better, be 100%, and get home. All right, buddy? Heather says she'd buy the first round. Of course she would. I don't know why I said that, first of all. SJM showing his support for John there. Prince is going to fly up and go to the Flyers game with some of y'all at some point. I'd be down for that. Priz, you paying?
I'll leave the house then. No, if there's a get together, I'll be there. I'm just all jokes aside. Let's go.
Oh, I know you would be. I remember that meetups, Bri. I'm saying we could do an off company hours meet and greet, dude. I'm down. You know where I'm at all the time, so you just swing through and come say hi. You're right around the corner. Priz said he just spent too much money on concerts, so I guess Priz isn't paying. Guess we got to pay our own way. Come on, Priz. You've been around long enough. John wants to know
we'll hook up the tickets. Priz. We got you.
I see if I can have a poll, but I wouldn't bet on it.
I'll get free tickets somehow. I'm good for that.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Just don't ask him what he did to get him. John wants to know, where do Barkley and Bonk end up?
I believe if not on this roster, yeah, they're right there. They're right there knocking on the door. Again, I think these two guys also have to wait as well. How old is Bark?
Barkley, I believe, is going to be in his 20 year.
This is his year 20, so he can go to the AHL.
He can go to the AHL.
Yeah. So, I think he'll make a serious push for. Yeah, he's 20. Yeah, he's 20 now. So he'll make a serious push. But if he does not make the team and end up with the Phantoms, they're building something really nice there between the depth pieces that this team has signed to be, on the ready for the Flyers, as well as competing on the AHL level, and guys that Bonk and Barkley can work, learn and work alongside and learn from. So it would be a good it wouldn't be a good parting gift, but I say both of these guys make a push for this team. Yeah, Oliver Bonk, 20 years old as well. They make a strong push for this team. A lot of this revolves around the health of Tyson Forrester, right? If he can't go to begin the season, that's going to open up a spot, and the position battles are going to be real interesting come September. But when it comes to the defensive side, I know you still have Risto and Sealer there, but Bonk can make a push because, as you see, Zamula falling out of flavor here in Philadelphia. I mean, you do have Emile Andre, Cam York, Jamie Drysdale, so there's a lot of mouths to feed. But Bonk can make a push for this team.
Yeah,
both of them had phenomenal years for the Brandon Wheat Kings. So,
and Bonk and Barkley are in their final years. I believe this is their age out year. So I think you give them the opportunity. Don't let them go back to juniors. Let them take that time, get a little seasoning down in the AHL, and obviously, depending on Forrester, maybe let Barkey kind of get a little head start up here, whereas you let Bonk kind of develop a little bit, see how he plays the AHL, see how he adjusts to that speed. And if trade deadline comes around, you move Sealer, you move Risto, that opens up 2 spots. Boom. Just throw Bonk right in the lineup. You have Emile Andre already in the lineup. There's a little injection of youth into the roster. Let's go.
Right. That was London Knights, by the way. I don't know why I say Brandon Wheat Kings. I think it's too late in the evening.
I'm with you there.
I'm like, as soon as I said it, I'm like, that's not right. Pove, you're better than that. Come on now.
All good, brother. All good. We all have our moments. I have my moment every week, so makes you feeling better. Heather's yelling at me for, I don't even know at this point anymore.
It was you said something quite like about the meet and greet earlier.
Did I?
Yeah, you said something like
I said we used to do it.
A hole in the wall, you said, and they immediately went to glory hole, I think, in the chat.
Oh, probably.
That's right. But you were talking hole. That's an older expression. I knew what you meant. A little speakeasy.
They're sickos, and if you watch South Park, you understand that it's not really a glory hole. If you watch the episode where Clyde's mom dies in the toilet, and they say John Harrington, who actually, oddly enough, is the guy who actually created the toilet. He said that's a laundry hole. So when you take your pants off and you go to the bathroom, you stuff your clothes in the glory hole, which is actually a laundry hole. And you just hear everybody in the crowd, every man in the auditorium was just like, oh. And then you hear Stan's dad be like, so that's what that's for. I've been using that all wrong.
Apparently I was wrong. I thought that's what. Oh. I was just reading the chat. It's a lot of love for Ozzy. Yeah, man.
A lot of love for Ozzy. Hey, let's be real. Ozzy outlived his life by like 50 years. The man probably should have died a long time ago. That's what happens when you make the deal with the devil. He lets you go until you're done, and then he just takes you.
You know what's interesting? I just saw a rare interview, right, of him back. This was a while back, maybe even back in the 70s. He had like almost like a crew cut, and he's just like whacked out. And they're like, Ozzy, you're on. What? You're on. Hello.
The man was just so out of it, and he'd done so many drugs, and he was an alcoholic, and he had a lot of health issues at some point. Like, the fact that he made it to 76 is remarkable.
It is. It really is. Let's see if I can find this video. That'd be a great thing. Play it on our way out.
Heather says he was amazing. I beg to differ. He was amazing earlier in his career. SJM, I can't even. I don't know what you can't even, but don't even. Don't even. If you can't even, don't even. John says I'm 60. I've seen the Hole, Stones, Skinner, and had tickets for Zeppelin when JB passed. Even Jimmy Buff, Ozzy with Black Sabbath, and Motley Crue. I've never seen any of those guys. I think of those guys, though, John, I think the only one that I would want to see out of them is going to be the Stones. Oh, sweet. You did find it. All right, let's play this.
Hi, Night Flight fans. We're talking with the one and only Ozzy Osbourne. Good evening, Ozzy.
What?
Good evening, Ozzy.
Hello there.
How are you?
Fine.
Hi, Night Flight fans.
Oh, my God. The man was just not there.
What? Hello there.
Oh, God. I mean, Black Sabbath, what a band. Ozzy Osbourne obviously had his hits. Like you said in the beginning of the show, you know, he was a inspiration for a lot of metal bands. I don't think metal music is what it is without him.
True.
So it's definitely tough when a legend like that passes. But I mean, again, I'm not like, I know there's a lot of people who are heartbroken, and I don't judge for that. I'm not really hard. This one didn't really hit me like a lot of people did. But I also, growing up, was never really the biggest Ozzy fan. I was never really the biggest Black Sabbath fan, but I always respected. Like, I have songs that they play that I like, but I won't go out of my way to go listen to them, if that makes any sense. But I definitely know the legend or a legend when I see one, whether I like the artist, the actor, whatever, etc. I know the good ones when I see them. Whether you share that opinion or not is going to be another question. But
sure.
A lot of respect, and well, I shouldn't say a lot of respect, but I definitely have respect for Ozzy and what he did for the music industry, especially the metal industry. Being a metal fan myself, so obviously, it's a massive loss. The one thing that I like that I thought was very fitting is the devil took him after the tour, after he finished up the farewell tour. But I don't think anybody think we were actually saying farewell to Ozzy Osbourne.
Right. Yeah, if to think back, hindsight being 2020, but for all shows for Batty to miss, it's a shame he had to miss tonight. Talking about a big Ozzy fan, he was devastated. He reached out to us earlier on, and that's why I kind of wanted to. I'm glad we circled back to Ozzy because Matty would want to tribute ties, and he'll be back to comment hopefully in 2 weeks. But
yeah,
I mean, in the end, you can't feel too sad, especially when someone that lived their life to the fullest and they experienced the highest of highs, literally and figuratively, and achieved a lot and had a lot of fame and a lot of success and a lot of riches with that. So, hey, we should all be so lucky. But when, like you look at like my dad, like seeing Ozzy die and they're roughly about the same age, that's when it hits home a little bit harder.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And And in the end, no, unfortunately, he's at the day job working over at Parks tonight. Yeah, so technically it's the night job tonight. But
yeah, tonight, yeah.
yeah, but yeah. He should be at Disney World though. Yeah, no, I honestly, the man lived life the way he wanted to. Was an icon, and he went out raising $200 million for charity. What a way to go out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as the proclaimed Prince of Darkness, like that's a pretty rad way to go out. Again, like my music isn't my music without Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Would I like to go to Ozfest and maybe those festivals can tend to be very long days. I've done
buddy.
enough. I've done enough.
My,
Of those
my
festivals.
festival days are over, son.
Mhm.
Over. But hey, he was in a battle with Parkinson's. Honestly, I feel he's in a far better place now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
even if it is with Satan.
I was going to say there's probably a lot of flames and a lot of heat surrounding him, but there's no doubt in my mind, like, whether he went to heaven or went to hell, he's definitely healed. He's not broken anymore, and
and talk about create a wonderful family, a successful family, a family business, and did a lot of good for this world too. So as much as an image, let's not ignore the greatness and positive things that Ozzy Osbourne did in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, Pris, that's a great point. Like when he bit off the head of the bat, wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to be a fake bat, and it wound up being real, unfortunately. But I mean, yeah. So to build off of that, Robbie, before we get out of here, that's a great point. He instilled a lot of drive into his kids. I mean, they're a little weird, but when your parents are Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne, you have to be, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, they are successful. They have a drive. They seem to have a relatively good head on their shoulders, and they just kind of, it's definitely they're going through a hard time. I know it. I've been there, unfortunately, but Ozzy lived a long life. He lived a great life, and his life was, if anybody's ever picked up a guitar, he's lived everybody's dream. So
yeah.
Real quick, Jason A jumping back in. Jason, what's up? Unfortunately, we're getting out of here, but real quick, the deal with Martone is Porter is heading to Michigan State University, and he signed I don't want to say signed, but he committed to Michigan State. Should things go well, and he feels like he's not challenged enough, he'll probably he has the ability to sign his ELC after the collegiate season, and could potentially join the Flyers in the second half of the year. What's up, Greg? Hey, listen, brother, you're here. You're here. It's okay to be late. You're here. Night Heather, Night John. I see all you guys in the chat. We're about to get out of here. As always, we are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Head on over to specializedphysicaltherapy.com. And, if you have any aches, pains, lingering issues, anything like that, Burlington, Cherry Hill, go check him out. Dr. Paul Vidal is our doc. Go ahead and make him yours. Him and that, yeah, this is going to be very improper English. It's 10:15. I'm dog tired. Him and his staff at Specialized Physical Therapy are amazing. So definitely go check them out. And finally, I see Jason. We're going to answer Jason's comment real quick, and then we're going to get out of here. He says, does that mean we don't have him anymore? You want to answer that one, Robbie?
No, not at all. We own the rights by drafting him. This is just a way where he could have reported back to juniors and continue to play there, but he wanted to take up the competitiveness, the challenge to the next level, and there's a couple ways to do that. One is if you're recruited by a college, you can earn some nil money, which is name, identity, licensing information. Now, Penn State offered him $250,000, which he turned down. So obviously, he got more than that from Michigan State. So so he makes a little money now, has an opportunity to earn a degree. He can, after the collegiate season's over, he can report at that time to the Philadelphia Flyers or the AHL and sign his entry-level contract or ELC and start playing with the organization. Or he could continue playing for college over the next season or two and come when he has, a for sure shot to make the NHL roster at that point of his development. So this is a very good thing for the top guy that we drafted this year in terms of his development. And like I said, we could see him as soon as late this season for the AHL level, or injury, he has the talent level to maybe be a late season addition to the Flyers. But next season, he'll be 20 years old and can thus play at the AHL level coming from one of the Canadian hockey leagues, this being the OHL. I think I covered it all there.
Yep. The one thing I will say you did miss, and that's okay, not a lot of people realize this, the Flyers continue to have his rights for 3 years before he becomes a UFA. Or I think it's still an RFA. I think it might be an RFA.
Okay.
But if they don't sign him for the 3 years that they have him, they have the option by the end of the third year that he can walk and be a free agent.
Oh yeah, that's very, very well true. That's where you often see. You saw with Cates, both brothers there. You saw with Bobby Brink, they played to their third season in their NCAA career, and then at that point signed their ELC. Yes, Happy Gilmore too this Friday.
Yeah,
cannot freaking wait.
I cannot
freaking wait.
But all right. That's going to do it for us here. We went a little overboard tonight, but you know what? I think it's for a good reason. I think a little remembrance of one of the greatest metal singers of all time definitely deserve that. So
I really thought it was going to be a 55-minute show with just the two of us, but who was I kidding?
Yeah, whatever. No, Jason, we are keeping Martone. He's just going to college. Once he's done the collegiate year, he could be a Flyer by the end of he could be a Flyer by March. So no, they have 3 years. They can keep him. Chrome saying the same thing. Oh, by the way, Chrome, hell of an interview today. Go back, listen to it. We had the great Devon Dudley as a guest on Lazy Booking. Chrome did an amazing job with him. It was a great interview. Talked everything about Devon's career, including his retirement match against the Hardys one last time. Can't wait for that. But go back, check them out as soon as we're done. And then tomorrow night, HUD Wednesday night, as always. Go check them out. I believe they're 9:30 or 10 o'clock, something like that. They fluctuate their time, but they're always there. Go check out those boys. We are out. Dales, Pove. Oh, I messed it up. Pove. It's a long night. I'm done. So definitely check them out. Dales, Pove did it again. Screw it. I'm out. We'll see y'all next week. Be good. Be safe. God bless.